Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Autoholics Anonymous, hosted by the Average Squad. Autoholics Anonymous is your show where we take a relevant car topic, chat about it for a bit, and then pick some Craigslist gold that is relevant to that topic. Around the table tonight, we have J.R. Olive, myself, Lee Purvis, Kurt Barnes, and Andy Carter. We are the fabulous Average Squad.
And we're happy to be here.
We are happy to be here.
Or the regular Average Squad.
I am pretty happy to be here tonight.
The snack for tonight is leftover a greasy bag of margaritas chips and not nearly enough salsa.
We did eat some gummy bears.
Yes.
Those
They
were
were
jelly
gummy.
beans.
Jelly bears.
Jelly bears.
Yep.
So, for tonight, we are going to talk about both the death and the corruption of the word coupe. So, we have the death of the normal two-door car. So, we're not talking about roadsters, not talking about muscle cars. We're talking about just the regular coupe. So, the Accord coupe, the Solara, the...
So wait, a muscle car isn't a coupe?
A
Mustang is not a coupe?
I think
the objective here is to talk about cars that are sold as 2 and 4 door variants.
correct.
Not entirely, but rule out what is traditionally a sports car, a two-door muscle car.
Like a Mustang is, of course, a coupe, but it has no 4 door variant. Therefore, it has no bearing on this conversation.
Well, I was not aware that was our definition of coupe.
Well, you should
I
have
did
known.
not pick a car that has a 4-door variant.
Well,
That's okay, though,
that's
because
Maybe that can be part of the discussion.
that can be part of the
It's part of it.
discussion.
We'll talk about it.
So to open it up, there are not many two-door cars left. That there are not very many traditional coupes left. So
when you say 2-door car,
I'm talking
we're being
about-
very specific about car.
correct,
Not a crossover, not an SUV.
not a crossover, but I'm also talking about the corruption of the word coupe. And the luxury brands are the big offenders here these days. But we have, most recently, the new Porsche Cayenne Coupe, which is a 4-door SUV slantback.
Blech.
The
Yeah.
BMW X6 Sports Activity Coupe, which is a 4-door SUV with a slantback.
That name sounds oddly Japanese.
And
Sports activity.
we have the Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe, which again, on their website, is a sport utility with an extra serving of sport. And so we have this weird thing now where crossovers with a slightly sportier back are now coupes, and there's no connection to a two-door car at all anymore.
no.
And I think we can also include in this conversation the Acura ZDX, which is long gone, and then my own personal Honda Cross Tour, which is a...
But no one ever referred to those as coupes.
No, it was they predated it, but it's the same idea of a slant-back SUV.
I think the whole thing, especially with these higher-end guys, they're trying to get away from the SUV term, the same as we went away from wagons to SUVs. SUVs are the current mom mobile, if you would, and I think they're trying to get away from that by calling it a coupe. It's a crossover. It's not a full-size, built-on-frame SUV kind of truck thing, but I'm not buying it.
I thought the X6 from the first gen was like the dumbest. Like, I feel like I think SUVs are. I've said before, if you're a long-time listener of Autoholics Anonymous, I'm not a big crossover person or SUV person. I would
Do it or don't.
I would prefer a car. I would prefer a station wagon, but they don't exist, so I have a sedan. But like people who like to ride up high but don't necessarily need space, I guess, could want an X6 or any of those variants.
So that's what this...
That's stupid.
It is stupid. I will say, as an owner of one,
I would be very careful about. Honda doesn't have an equivalent. Like the Venza, to me, the Venza and the Cross Tour totally get a pass on whatever this is because I know that the Venza is less coupe-like and more wagon-like, but like there's not an alternative, you know?
That's fair. I mean, okay, that's fine. Okay,
Like,
so
if you want that car, Honda doesn't make a station wagon. They'd America.
You're right. You're right. So let me talk instead about the Acura ZDX, which Amy and I went to go drive. And just for those of y'all that know, the ZDX and the Cross Tour are different cars. Came out at the same time, but they're completely different vehicles. It was as small as my Fit inside. And it is based on the Acura MDX. So it's based on their full-size 3-row SUV, basically made into a 2-row, but because of that slanting back, like it kills the space to the point of even me and my wife, where it's just us, we were like, this is too small. It just doesn't make sense. Which, to me, is kind of the spirit of a coupe. And so with of a traditional coupe, of where you're saying like,
It's a 2-seater car.
Right. Now, there are some coupes that functioned,
We're more functional.
were more functional, but ultimately you're saying that you don't need the function and you don't need the utility.
I think 4-seater 2-door coupes that function well were probably from a practical brand. Like sporty 2-door coupes that have 4 seats
Like RSX.
are just pretending. Like no one
I don't know that I agree with that. I feel like there have been a lot of great sporty 2-door cars that functioned well as people movers or whatever.
But like the
what?
like the Solara for the Solera, the back seat in the Solera is that's you could argue that was a practical, like it could be a practical thing because it's a cheaper Toyota, but like the back seat is unusable, like from a headroom perspective.
I mean, when I'm talking about practical coupes, I'm thinking more of like big Cadillacs.
And like when you say RSX, that's
2-door Blazers.
Wasn't that based on? I mean, in Japan, that was a Civic, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, it's an Integra.
Or
But yeah. I mean, it's a 2-door hatchback, so.
And I mean, they were fine, right? I mean, largely
Not.
fine.
I mean, the back seats, no.
Well, what about like a Volkswagen GTI? Like, I mean, they weren't always 4-doors.
I would be interested to know what the sales percentage of a 4-door versus a 2-door GTI are.
Well, you can't get a 2-door anymore.
There you go. I mean, so why do y'all think that the 2-doors died?
it's impractical. Like it's like no one wants to like if you. I feel like in these days, especially waning enthusiasm and willingness to pay for. It's like no one's crawling, like reclining their seat forward and crawling in the back seat every day. Like I did that when my dad drove my Celica.
Right.
Like, he was his main car. But like if you want, you can have all things now. Like you can have a good handling
You don't have to compromise.
you
Right.
can have a good handling, powerful car that has 2 doors, but also has a legitimate back seat, or has 4 doors and is still just as fun.
And that's you like you guys said there. The marketing shifted. When you look back at car marketing, whenever there was a coupe being talked about, it was the word sporty was thrown into that marketing. Those ads always had sporty thrown in there, and they were marketed as performance versions or the sporty version. And I'm talking even the big cars, the Caprice Classic 2-doors and stuff like that, were marketed more as a sport version of their 4-door, counterpart. And like you said, nowadays you don't need that because the sedans are there. They don't. Plus, we're not talking 70s boats either.
I think also it comes down to the simplicity of manufacturing, because I feel like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s, you could get 3 to 4 variants of a chassis.
Right.
Whereas now, everything is so streamlined. I mean, companies are doing platform shares across their whole 3 or 4 different brands of the same car, with 3 or 4 different models being the same car within each brand.
Right.
So it's probably just simpler to say, hey, let's make a 4-door.
Well, to me, like it's weird to think of. Okay, like the Civic had both the a two-door coupe, a two-door hatch, and then the CRX.
And a 4-door sedan.
Well, right, but I'm talking about just 2 doors. They had 3 2-door variants offered in the same year,
Right.
which is nuts to me. I mean, that would never happen nowadays.
Right.
I think one of the other things that plays into it, fuel mileage. Cars back when they were 2 doors, they were smaller, and there was the intent, hey, this gets better mileage, slightly smaller car, stuff like that. Now the 4 doors, there's no difference in mileage anymore, so you can have your 4-door car. Because I do remember the CRX being at one point advertised as a fuel efficient vehicle, and the 60 horsepower or something like that. They weren't power monsters back then. And I think that's probably a good part of it is, hey, we can put all that fuel efficiency. We don't need the small car anymore. So simplify our line, take out some of the options, including your 2 doors.
Right.
It's also like the SUV thing is just the people wanting crossovers for whatever reason that's part of it. Like
Yeah,
it's easier
definitely.
to make it's easier to make a practical, more comfortable 2-door crossover that is usable than
You mean a 4-door?
4-door.
I mean either
I don't
or.
think there are any 2-door crossovers that I can think. I mean, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about these crossover coupes. They're all 4
But
doors.
and so something unrelated to that is their design language has gone towards more coupe-like anyway. Like my Avalon looks like a coupe to the point where you can't see out of the back. like
right. Well,
the deck lid is
and,
so high,
and that
it's
started
such a
with cars
long
like
swoop.
the Volkswagen CC
Yeah.
and
The new Accord.
I think the Volkswagen CC was actually advertised as, well, not advertised as, but it was thought of as a luxury coupe.
Right, and then you have like BMW now, they have
With the Grand Coupe.
the Grand Coupe, and it's like they had the 3 Series as a 4-door, and they had the 4 Series as the coupe, and then they had the 4 Series, was it called Grand Coupe or whatever,
Well,
and it's a 4-door of the 2-door variant, but then there's also a 4-door variant.
I miss when.
that's-
Can we.
That's
all-
a whole separate conversation about BMW. Just
Right.
Well,
BMW
right, sure.
and Mercedes both. Like,
But I will say Mercedes does still offer both the S Series coupe, and I looked up to make sure they still have an E-Class coupe as well.
oh, okay.
I mean, you can still get a legitimate true coupe from Mercedes and BMW too. But I think with the luxury brands have the ability to
The audacity.
the audacity.
everyone just pretends like they understand when like
There's no rhyme or reason
no rhyme or
anymore.
reason.
No.
I mean, there could be a real practical reason that has something to do with like countries or certain laws in certain countries that require certain things or whatever. But like BMW, just with the numbering series, the series
Mercedes, too.
variant, like it doesn't make any sense to have a 4 Series 4-door. Like it just doesn't. Like why would why make it complicated?
And so, why do you think that coupe has been kind of hijacked by these 4-door
Sounds
slantbacks?
cool.
Yeah.
References a cooler.
It sounds cooler than crossover or SUV. SUV sounds too truckish. Crossover sounds pedestrian. Call it a coupe, a sport coupe, call it that. And you're going to pull in these people, oh, I have the cool one on the block now because it's a coupe.
Do we have, as average squad, do we miss the traditional coupe, or
Yes.
are we fine to see it go?
I miss it.
I'm on the fence. I mean, if I were buying a new car, I would probably prefer a 4-door because now you can get like a 4-door GTI and not compromise anything.
Right.
And but as the owner of many coupes, in the past and currently, I have a couple of 2-door cars that I love because they're a 2-door. A 2-door car used to be, like y'all were saying earlier, a sign that it's cool. Like you didn't want a 4-door Nova. You didn't want a 4-door, Bel Air. Like the 2-door was where it was at.
Well, and that even went into the 90s. I mean,
Right.
the 4-door SI is 06. I mean,
Yeah.
there was no sporty 4-door before that.
That's true. And yeah, so I mean, I kind of miss that coupes will. I guess I miss that they were, them actually being coupes. That's
Right.
that's the biggest thing.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing I miss.
I'd like to see the option of a coupe still. How's that?
And I tried to when I was getting all upset about it and getting all emotional and deep about it on an episode before, y'all made fun of me. But like this, what it is a symptom of people wanting crossovers, and what that necessitates is the market that leaves, the vacuum that is left from a market leaving to buy a crossover or an SUV, the least practical version of whatever dies. Like, whatever can't sustain itself, and coupes are just the least practical version of a vehicle.
Right.
So like they're the ones that are not going to survive.
Which is interesting. You
Along
talk
with
about
sedans.
people leaving. It's like, so you've got the Blazer now, which is a Camaro-inspired crossover. And then we have the Ford Mustang-inspired electric crossover coming. And it's like people almost just want the brand cachet of these.
Rather than actually having a sports
actually having
car.
to deal with owning a Mustang, give me the Mustang-inspired crossover.
Which to me makes as an enthusiast makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I get compromise. Like I have 2 kids. I should probably buy the 4-door version of the car, but
I've always
I mean, there's not.
I mean, I don't have 2 kids, but
No, but I'm saying like it's cheating to me. I want the style of a Camaro, so I'm just going to get the Blazer.
it's a cop out.
Yeah,
It's
which it's fine if you have to tell your kids, but like just do what every other Chevy fan did and just buy like a sport, like a Tahoe. You know what I mean? Like if you like Camaros, you need to cart your family around. Like buy a Tahoe.
yeah. To me, there's
and
no
then put a Camaro sticker on the back or whatever.
Well, to me, there's no shame in buying a Silverado or a Tahoe or whatever, but buying one of these chintzy crossover things is just like
that's printing with as much as I hate them, that's a broad stroke. Like
got your
they're
broad
not
stroke.
chintzy. I mean, like
Nah,
it's just a car. It's just a car. Like
You're just a car.
It's a great crossover, but calling it a coupe is the escape that they're using from getting away from that. They're just renaming it, and hey, we've developed a new version of it, and people will buy them. They will. It's a marketing thing. It's a marketing tool.
for some reason, as much
They'll
as
buy
I
it.
think they're dumb, like the X6 and its ilk, like there's something that is inside of me that, like, if I see one, I'm like involuntarily like, well, the driver of that is cooler than an X5.
Right.
Like, and I hate that. I hate that I feel that way, but I think that that's the intention of the brand. Like
Those drivers,
it's a branding calculation.
and those drivers will also be the first to correct you should you call it a crossover or SUV. They'll tell you it's a coupe. Ugh,
Yeah.
Well,
yuck.
for Craigslist Gold this week, we decided to remember coupes as they were and pick some of our favorite 2-doors for under $10,000. So who wants to start us off?
I'll start off because mine's lame, but
All right.
it's not lame in that this car, it was very difficult to find. But it shows that the coupe is still alive and well. I found probably one of 3 in the country 2013 Scion FRSs under $10,000 that were not a salvage title or a rebuild title.
Under $10,000.
So this is a 2013 Scion FRS for $9,800 in Oakland Hills, California. And it is higher mileage.
How many?
How many miles?
It has 86,000
That's
miles.
not even that bad.
That's not high.
86,000 miles. It's gray. It has a dented bumper. The paint is clean. Totally stock. Commuter miles. Second owner. Never raced or modified. Religious oil changes and scheduled maintenance. New clutch. Clean title in hand. No accident history. Will provide current Carfax.
I think
Just
that's.
small.
I mean, that's a cool car. Like, well,
For the money.
FRSs are cool. But even the fact that the FRS, you have the FRS and the BRZ, the fact that those had to be like a two-brand exercise to make a coupe.
just to get them out there.
Yeah, is interesting. Now that I'd argue that's more of a sports car than a coupe, but we didn't really clarify, so it's fine.
I'll go next.
You can't just say something like that and just roll a sport. A sports car is not a body type. Like a coupe is a body style. Sports car is not a body. Like, is a Chevy SS a sports car or a sedan or a coupe? I mean, it's not a coupe, but like
A Chevy SS is a sedan.
Yeah.
it's not a sports car.
No.
What does the S stand for?
Super
Super Sport.
Sport.
A sedan.
Car.
No, there's no C in
It is in
SS.
fact a car.
That is not.
Sports car is not a body style.
What's a
It's-
911?
what is
Is
it?
a 911 a coupe or a sports car?
A coupe. A 911 is a
I think
coupe.
a coupe is only a car that has another option.
I-
Go on any car finding service on the internet and scroll down the
Yeah,
search by model type.
Yeah, but
and
I don't-
show me sports car.
Yeah, but I don't trust car gurus.
A sports car was designed as a sports car.
It's a coupe. A Porsche, like a
yes,
car
yes,
with
it
two
is.
doors.
It is
I
whatever
think
y'all-
we're running into a thing here where there are types of each
There are-
that can
any
fit.
car
The
that's
spirit-
not a roadster with two doors is a coupe.
But a
Correct.
roadster
I
can
hate to break
be
it to
a
you.
roadster can be a
Correct.
sports car.
But the spirit of this conversation is about non-sporty coupes.
That was
I
it
know.
wasn't outlined.
I
wasn't
shouldn't have.
articulated at
Should have been.
all.
It
So
should have been
the
more
real
clear.
question here is why aren't you buying that?
because it's in San Francisco Bay Area, like.
So add $1,200.
So you can meet a nice man there.
And I don't like. I can afford like if I buy an '86 or an FRS, like I'm gonna just finance it because I'm a grown up and don't want to wreck like a dented one with
Lee,
bad interior.
What two-door did you pick?
Okay. I found this on Facebook Marketplace locally. It's in Peachtree Corners, Georgia. It's a 79 Volvo 240 coupe
Oh,
with round headlights. And it's in modest condition, I guess, is to put it lightly. It's red. It's kind of got some patina. It's $3,800.
what engine was in that?
It has a 4.3 liter Chevrolet V6.
Are you serious?
with a 6-speed Tremec transmission
Wow.
That's
for,
cool.
the
for
price-
$3,800.
I was about to say the transmission is the most valuable thing in
Yeah.
that vehicle.
Yeah, like he doesn't specify which Camaro, but judging by the shift pattern, I'm pretty sure it's a T56 out of like a 4th gen.
I mean, if it's $3,800, then probably.
Yeah, but that's still a $2,000. That's like a $1,500 or $2,000 transmission. So apparently it runs. It's got a, it's got a good clutch setup.
It's
runs
the
and drives-
venerable 4.3.
It's got a venerable 4.3, but I thought it was a cool car anyway, and it's totally unassuming. Like, it has no other mods other than sway bars, which is awesome.
Have you noticed people do that with Volvo 240s a lot?
I would
The swaps for
Because all the motors were garbage. Or that's not true.
How dare
That's
you.
not true. They were good motors, but like there was no fun variant,
Right.
For a round headlight, especially.
It says paint is faded but consistent all over, which is what you want. I mean, if you don't
It
want
does look fine.
consistency,
I'm sitting here looking at a picture. It looks fine.
yeah, and it's
Paint
got
is
13
consistent.
13 photos of this bad boy. So he's got
Wow.
photos of literally everything. It looks,
He ain't bashful.
yeah.
Kurt, what'd you get?
funny enough, I went to the San Francisco Bay Area also, and I found a 1985 BMW 635 CSI Pacifica.
Whoa.
It is. This was
Doesn't have
Yeah,
a motor.
how much is that?
it's with the BBS wheels, the original BBS wheels, 5800.
Pacifica is just where it's located. That's not a
Oh,
travel.
what did I say? Anyway,
The BMW
it's
6
just outside
Series
of San Francisco in Pacifica. Or you can get some two-piece TRX wheels. It'll be 7,500.
Those TRX wheels were 16 and a half.
Really?
Yes. They're really hard to get tires for.
Ooh. So yeah, you might want to just stick with the others and go for 5,800.
Yes.
But repainted by the previous owner in Bahama beige, which was a factory paint. 2 days cutting and
That's just where it's
polishing.
located.
It's an 85. He says these are some of the cool things though. Cobra radar detector not working just for looks. Old school mobile phone not working just for looks. Cars he's been cleaned. Windshield retracting blind to cover the dash from the heat.
Doesn't work.
Dash has some cracks.
Doesn't work.
Suspension wheels, but he has done refresh the entire front end suspension. But he's got, as far as photos, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 25 different photos of it, including under suspension, undercar photos and everything.
Fancy stuff.
That's like a quintessential.
So 5,800
Coupe.
or 2-piece TRX
Is it-
wheels for 7,500.
All right. And I, of course, being me, chose the last great American muscle car. The Honda Accord EXL V6 6-speed coupe. This one's a 2012. It is like a dark silver, and it is $9,988, just squeezing right under that $10,000. 110,000 miles, 271 horsepower, 3.5 liter V6 VTEC transmission. Y'all are familiar with these.
You know what they don't tell you about those cars? They're actually really fast.
They say that it is powerful.
It'll
so,
squall.
Them
Them things will squall,
It runs
boy.
and drives like a sports car. Now, I almost bought one of these, and I can confirm it does not drive like a sports car, but it is a cool coupe. All right, let's vote.
I'm going to vote for Kurt.
I'm going to vote for me.
I mean, I like that. That car is the coolest car.
Show me a picture. Yeah, I guess.
That car's
yeah.
the coolest car, but I would rather have Andy's. Actually, no, I'd rather have mine. I don't know what I'm saying. I'd rather have an FRS.
I'm going to go with Kurt's. Kurt takes it with
Hey, the first non-tie and
the 6 Series coupe.
Yeah, 635, 1985.
Was that car an automatic or a manual?
it's an automatic.
Let's
If it's a
look real
manual, we can have a unanimous vote, I guess.
quick. Hang on.
Look
hang
at
on.
one of the 30 pictures of the interior.
Automatic.
Yeah.
Duh.
I guess I'll vote for mine then. I'm kidding. I'm still voting for Kurt's.
All right.
What if
Well, that's it, guys. We stick to the classics here on the Average Squad podcast called Autoholics Anonymous.
Bye.
Thanks.